Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. It's Wade T. Lightheart from Bioptimizers with another episode of the Awesome Health Podcast. And today I'm joined by Jag Chima. Now, he's got an interesting story, by the way. He is born in the UK, but he's also an entrepreneur, an investor, visionary, health and fitness enthusiast, as well as a philanthropist, with business interests that include real estate, construction, finance, lifestyle, health, and fitness. And you're going, how does anybody have time to do all that sort of stuff? Well, Jag's going to talk about it today. He's going to talk about some of his work with his London group. But more importantly, not only has he been featured on all these different TV stations, he's extensively in Asia. This guy just completed a triathlon and went 1,450 kilometers on a cycle ride from Delhi to Mumbai. We both share a passion about Indian culture. Of course, Indian culture was a big component in my own spiritual renaissance, as well as an indicator of some of the health technology I advocate. But Jag's going to talk to us today about being a high-performing entrepreneur, why it's so important and why that led to him to be such an enthusiast about fitness. And in fact, as part of his brand management, he's got some magazine stuff we're going to talk about. We're going to get into a lot of things. Jag, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Wade. It's great to be here.
Okay, let's just, for people who aren't familiar with you and your work, can you give a little bit of background, where you're from, how you get started, and what makes you so passionate, not only about business, but also about health?
Yeah, so I'm born and raised in London. My background is actually construction and finance. So my family business, we build houses, we have a building supplies business. So a lot of people wonder, well, you know, what kind of connection does that have with health and fitness? Because that's what I'm more known for. But yeah, so I've always been passionate about fitness. And I used to be one of those people with just one business, and I used to think that I was the busiest person in the world. I was always stressed, never enough hours in the day. I couldn't dedicate enough time to my family. And I kind of realized that there's a lot more to life than just being busy. It's all about being productive. And through learning more about wellness, fitness, and optimizing health, I now own multiple businesses in multiple countries. And more importantly, I am able to help people to become better versions of themselves through the platforms that we've created.
Maybe you can share with people, what was it that kind of was the trigger point from going to like being busy to productive, and the incorporation of health practices as an entrepreneur, and why do you feel that was so important?
So, Wade, we often take everything in life for granted, and there has to be something that happens that wakes you up and makes you realize there's a lot more to life than what we think. Just for example, this lockdown, it's made me realize even more that we don't need as much as we think we need to be happy and to live a good quality life. And for me, my biggest trigger point in life was losing my mother. And I always used to have plans that, you know, when I achieve X, we're going to do this together. And when I achieve Y, we're going to achieve that. And that never happened because I was always chasing for more. I was always chasing for the next milestone, but I used to forget what was most important. And believe it or not, most of the important things in life, we've already got them and they're free. We just don't understand how to value those. It was then that I realized that I need to do things that actually move my needle, give me excitement, you know, makes me want to jump out of bed every morning and think, yes, this is another day, we're going to kill it. And the real estate and finance business, yeah, you know, making money, but that wasn't moving my needle. So losing my mother, unfortunately, was the point, the trigger point for me to make that change.
And how long ago was that? And what was that journey like? What did you learn along the way that you think is really impactful? Maybe some mistakes you made or some power moves for, the entrepreneur listening and saying, you know what, I need to embrace that ideology right now.
Yeah, well, that's interesting because my father always has told me that, look, we should do what we know. And of course, all parents want their children to be successful and they don't want them to take risk. So exposure to risk for parents, they want their children to have minimum risk. And my father had always said to me that, look, you are involved with property, you're very good at that. That is what you should focus on. And I kind of, my father has been a mentor and somebody who's been a huge inspiration for me forever, because he's achieved a lot in his life with self-education. He taught himself everything he needs to know. But that kind of also was a point that was holding me back, because I wanted to be more involved with fitness. I wanted to do things that would help people, but also do things that help people and is part and parcel of my business, my passion. And then I learned that, I don't need anyone else to give me the approval if something's going to be okay. We always try and find that approval. We always ask people, do you think this idea is going to be good? And if you get like 7 out of 10 people say yes, you build up your confidence and you go for it.
That's true.
But if everyone else says, no, it's a bad idea, we don't think it's going to work, then the chances are great ideas may never become a reality. And I kind of was involved with the fitness industry before my mum had passed, but I never really pushed it. Pushing it means giving it 100%. So I actually decided one day that I'm going to go for it. I had a motorbike accident in 2008, very serious crash. I nearly lost my life. And through fitness, I managed to get a 99% recovery. And this was something that doctors said I will not be able to achieve. I was into my fitness. I didn't really know how to train properly and how to be fit, but I did what I thought was right at the time. But that, and my business partner, who now is my business partner, Chris Gethin, I used to follow his plans online, and that helped me to get the recovery. And then when mum had left us, that's when I decided that, I've done it. It works for me. I don't need anyone else to give me approvals. Started traveling the world, went to all the expos, built my own contact base. And then I met with Chris Gethin and said to him, Chris, I want you to come with me to India, and we want to educate people in the fitness industry on how to do this properly. And the rest was history. So I went from somebody who had 0 contacts in the fitness industry to somebody who started working with people who I used to read about in magazines as a boy. I used to have their posters, like, meeting people like Jay Cutler and Phil Heath and some of these bodybuilders that I used to be inspired by. I can speak to most of them on the phone now. And so when we went to India, we started educating people, and very quickly people saw that we were delivering something of high value. And then we started to train people in the movie industry and getting them prepared for movies. And it just so happened that my skill set is marketing and building businesses. I would do what I'm good at, which is to build the businesses, structure them in the right way, market them in the right way. Chris will do what he's good at, which is educating people, getting them, giving them the right education. And we expanded the brand into a global brand. Today we manage a lot of talent in the fitness industry. So people who are influencers, educators, we build them as brands. So help them to grow their social media presence, present themselves in the right way, connect them with the right brands. We also have interests in various brands ourselves. We own a gym chain, which we kind of founded ourselves, me and Chris. We've just recently launched a e-magazine, which I'm extremely excited about. And we train a lot of people in the fitness industry. We're exclusive partners with companies like Life Fitness, where we educate fitness professionals. And we continually expanding the brands as we go along, and it's been a really exciting journey so far.
So amazing. I had the good fortune of first going to India in 2003. One of my best friends is very much like yourself. He's a second generation or first generation born inside of Canada, traditional Indian businessman, but very successful. And he came to me when I was in the personal training business, and we developed a friendship. And then he took me to India for the first time for his wedding. And then later that year, I competed at the Mr. Universe in Mumbai, India. This was in 2003. And I was fascinated by the burgeoning passion of the Indian culture that was getting into fitness. Long story short, I went back to India about a year and a half ago. And this is before I met Chris in person. And I'm in Mumbai, and I see Chris's picture, and I see these fitness things, and I see this branding. I'm like, wow, this is like, I saw the advancement of the industry from where I was in 2003 to just a couple of years ago. And I was like, wow, I wonder who's behind all this information. Well, little before you know it, I ended up getting, Chris ended up on my podcast inadvertently, and then I ended up on yours, and now we're here all together. And I think it's fascinating. What do you think? Because one of the things that was shocking to me, literally shocking to me when I was in India last year, was just how crazed fitness is taking over in India, which was not previously. What do you think that is? Is it because of the emerging middle class? Is it because of people getting access to digital information? Is it because of fitness? I have a friend that was in the wrestling community that was over there. He had his largest wrestling crowd ever when he fought, 70,000 people, and people all getting into working out and training and this stuff. What is this thing that's happening, this renaissance that's happening in India particularly, which I'm so fascinated with?
Well, I think it's a bit of everything that you've mentioned. But India, the movie industry is massive. Okay, it's huge. And so when people watch the actors on television in great shape, they want to be like them, right. and that it doesn't matter which background you come from, whether you're from a middle class, whether you're from the kind of elite backgrounds, everybody wants to look like these actors. So they play a big role. But like you rightly say, the WWE, like for example, wrestling, sports, a lot of the people within these spaces have become influencers and are inspiring others to do the same. And with internet now being available very easily and very cheap in India, almost everybody has a smartphone. So the information travels very quickly. So now you've got pockets of people in different categories who are able to kind of inspire more and more people to become fitter and healthier versions of themselves. So yeah, it's definitely got a lot to do with digital, and it's definitely got a lot to do with the movie industry for sure.
So let's talk about your work in brand management, because we also have a lot of influencers or a lot of people in the health industry, but they really don't understand of how to create, develop, and promote themselves in a brand component. And I think it's one of the things that you can recognize when you see it, but very few people know actually how to create and generate and get that kind of stickability of a brand. Can you share with us some of your insights as a brand manager and as someone who, takes and develops brands, essentially constructs a brand just very much like you would construct a home? Is there some foundational components that you could share without revealing all your secrets about what you look for, or why people oftentimes who are experts would seek out brand management in order to cultivate and get their expertise out in the world?
Absolutely. It's actually no secret. And that's why it becomes so complicated, because people try and complicate the most simple things and they think there must be more to it. The fact is, the brand has to have a purpose. It needs to be able to solve a problem, okay? And quality over quantity. That's why I always say to every single brand, you see a lot of brands that have got hundreds and thousands of dollars that they want to spend on marketing, but they have very little budgets to be able to spend on keeping existing customers happy. And I can never get my head around it. When I see that ratio, I always want to understand the service that they provide. Because if the company policies are not in place to be able to keep customers happy and provide a high quality product, then it doesn't matter how much money you spend. The brand will not be successful. And I don't want to work with brands that don't care for their customers. So the secret is keep your customers happy. Spend money on customer service, feedback, make sure that you're providing a high quality product. Because if you want to have a free sales force, your absolutely free sales force is going to be your existing customers. Because if you can keep them happy, they will refer more business to you, and that business is guaranteed business. Whereas spending money getting new customers is not guaranteed business. So the secret always is going to be quality. And when we talk about building brands, one of the most popular areas is definitely social media. It's now become the most powerful tool in almost every business across the world, much more than print media. Print media, you cannot actually measure the success. And when we talk about building brands, I'm also referring to individuals who are influencers. Now, traditionally, when social media first started, influencers would go and promote a brand based on how much they pay. It was
Right.
that simple. And there was a lot of things that were happening that shouldn't be happening just to convince brands that they're the right people. So you might see a lot of unauthentic likes and follows and that kind of thing. And a lot of brands used to look at influencers and think, wow, that's an amazing following. We'll pay the money and that person will promote the product. But now the market is a very mature market. There's a lot of tools that are available, firstly, to check whether or not an influencer has got a genuine audience and whether or not that's a loyal audience, because it's not about the following. It's more about the interaction and the loyalty. That's what it comes down to. So I much rather work with somebody with a very small following, but a loyal following, than work with somebody with multiple millions and no conversion, because I work on conversions. This is a results-based industry. Number two, influencers have to believe in the product. There has to be an element of belief. You can't force a product with an influencer because you will not get the result. And normally the followers will see that this is paid and they just will not believe in it. So organic integration of product with any influencer that matches the mindset of the brand is very important. And that's why it's important to have brand managers and companies like ours who actually like to understand what a brand's objective is and then pair them with the right people rather than just pair them in somebody where budgets match and they don't care. And then what happens is you can actually build a quality brand where people actually will be repeat customers for life. They will not just try, buy, and then not come back to you. They'll be repeat customers. So the key to building the brand is definitely a lot of due diligence, making sure that the vision matches. And it's like I say, you know, again, when you're connecting influencers, you have to make sure that the people do believe in the product. And I often get a question asked by influencers, how can I grow my social media? What kind of content should I be putting out there? And I always say, you know what? The best content is be you. Don't be something that you're not. You know, traditionally, if you put flash cars and, you know, watches that you don't own and houses that are not yours, yeah, you'll get some visibility, but will you be able to convert that into business? Probably not. People would like to connect with people that are real. And that is what's always going to be trending.
That's you know, very powerful statement, especially in today's world, because I think a lot of people are trying to manufacture an identity that they think is going to work. And, you know, getting to, you know, that authentic communication style, whether that, you know, frankly turns off some people, it will turn on just as many people. You don't have to, like, if you're trying to be popular with everybody, you end up being popular with nobody. And every person, I think, as an advocate, and the better that you become at your chosen discipline, the more insight that you're able to offer. And I do believe that offering insight to your customer clients, as well as when you do a recommendation or give a suggestion or put that out, that people are like, hey, yeah, that actually worked. So I'm now developing and cultivating a level of trust with that person. So, because once you break that trust, that person's gone forever. You never have that opportunity again because they're off, and dealing with somebody else. Let's talk about a little bit more about brand management magazine. How does that fit in with your vision of being an advocate as an executive, as an entrepreneur, a serial entrepreneur, I might add? And so what is this whole magazine that you're talking about, and how are you hoping to disseminate that to the population at large?
Well, with the magazine, it's part and parcel of giving back as well as growing our reach. And that is the honesty behind it. We definitely want to grow our reach and reach more and more people, because we believe that we have got a lot to, educate people with and about. And the magazine is an absolutely free platform. We do not charge anybody subscription for it. You can literally go onto the website, put in your email address. You will not get any junk mail, or you will not get any emails from us trying to sell you something. You'll get a magazine every single month. And on that platform, there will be educators, influencers, and topics from around the world that are connected to fitness, wellness, and lifestyle. So we have got some excellent educators from different categories in wellness and fitness, all the way, from biohacking, for example. We've got people who talk about the current trends, the issues that we're facing, like, for example, with the COVID-19 situation, gyms are facing problems, and there's challenges of different natures all across the globe. In some parts of the world, gyms have already reopened with very little social distancing measures. And in other parts of the world, gyms have opened with very strict measures. And then we've got places in the world where gyms are still not allowed to open. So we cover a lot of topics from industry professionals like that. But the objective was to give people golden nuggets where they can go and change their life and actually feel results. So biohacking is actually a big part of this. Some of the basic bits of information that might be very complex. For example, there's some great biohackers out there, but for a layman, when you read their content, it might be a little complicated for them to understand. So we try and simplify that in this magazine. We've only just launched the second edition, so we're only 2 editions old. And so far we've managed to, in fact, our biggest audience is the US. We've got 56% subscribers from the United States. We've got countries like Africa. We've got a huge audience in India, Dubai, Kuwait, UK, and Europe. So there's a plethora of education and information. And then we also go into exciting things like fashion. We have females in fashion who talk about problems, and also wearable technology. So we've got a huge plethora of information that's going to be on your email for free every single month.
Can you share with us the name of the magazine and where people can find it?
Absolutely. So the name of the magazine is the Physique Global Magazine, and the website is physiqueglobal.com. Literally, email address, submit, and within minutes, you'll have a copy of the magazine.
It's super great. We'll make sure that's in the show notes for everybody. I would suggest to get a hold of this and access it. It's going to be great.
And now for a Bioptimizers fixed digestion tip: supercharge your protein shake. Everyone knows protein shakes are a great way to sneak in extra protein, build more muscle, even replace meals and burn more fat. The problem is the highest quality protein typically absorbs at around 40%. One way to fix this and dramatically increase how quickly and effective your protein shake digests is to add 2 to 3 capsules of masszymes into your shake. One research study showed that pre-digested protein during a meal increased muscle growth significantly. To take advantage of this, just blend the open capsules into your shake, and within 15 minutes or less, the enzymes will have begun to break down the protein into amino acids. This can make your shakes at least 2 to 3 times more potent. Some people do this and sip on their shake while lifting to provide their muscles with a steady stream of amino acids during their workout. To save 10% on Masszymes, use the code SHAKE10, that's SHAKE10, at Masszymes.com. That's SHAKE10 at Masszymes.com.
Let's talk a little bit about you. What is a day in the life of Jag the entrepreneur look like, and what are some of the things that you've implemented from a health perspective that allows you to perform and do all the things that you do on a daily basis?
Great question. So, like I said, I used to be somebody who was extremely busy, but I wasn't as productive as I am now. Even running the businesses that I do, I still find time for my family. And more importantly, I make sure that my loved ones and my friends all follow a very similar protocol to me. So I am awake very early every single day. And my day starts with meditation. That has changed my life. It's very easy to, you hear a lot of people say this, and sometimes it goes in one ear and it goes out the other, because you kind of expect people to tell you that when they talk about meditation. But believe me, I was the last person in the world that would practice meditation because I thought I was too busy.
Right. That's such a common thing. I'm too busy to meditate, or I can't meditate because I got too many thoughts to meditate, which that's why you need to meditate.
Exactly. So I start with meditation, I work out, and then I work on my emails. I live an intermittent fasting lifestyle. So usually my first meal is around 1 o'clock. So my day is very, very productive up until 1 o'clock. I make sure that I take time out for things that are important, like breaking my fast. I do not have mobile phones next to me. I do not have a computer screen or anything like that. I focus on what I have in front of me. I appreciate.
Very powerful. Very powerful.
I think this is something that, when people try and optimize their health, they always look for the best supplement. They always look for the best potion or that magic pill, but actually some of the basics are free and you can do them straight away, such as getting rid of the distractions. But my day is pretty planned out. So my mornings usually are follow-ups, emails. My second half of the day is usually meetings and, podcasts like this, and connecting with people from around the world. But this is my current lifestyle. Usually I would do this in different parts of the world. So my travel schedule is usually pretty intense. And I usually travel 2 weeks of each month. So I'm literally on a flight every second day for domestic, and an international flight at least 2 to 3 times a month. So that's kind of a typical lifestyle that I live.
It's interesting. We have strikingly similar practices. I get up in the morning, I do my energization meditation, then I'll work, and a considerable component, I do alternate day fasting is what I'm doing right now. So 12 hours on, 36 hours off, and then do all my what I call output work in the mornings, and then in the afternoons we get into the same thing. So I find it fascinating. We have very similar lifestyles, and I travel considerably as well. What are some of your favorite hacking technologies that you use that made a difference to you? And then maybe who are some of your go-to people and influencers that allowed you to kind of integrate this into your life?
Well, some of my favorites are definitely tracking my sleep. I use one of these rings, which kind of, that's it. You got it. So this has been amazing for me because I like gadgets. I don't know if that's a good thing. Well, I know it's not a good thing because of the EMFs, but this has definitely helped me to quantify any changes that I make in my daily lifestyle. My biggest favorite has to be optimizing my gut health, because I like to measure. I like to be able to feel a difference. And I felt that when I started to put better things in my mouth, I was instantly, within a week, able to kind of feel the results. And of course, and this is not a paid promotion, by the way. I use Bioptimizers, and I have done for a very long time. Digestive enzymes. I use the probiotics. These are all things that have helped me to optimize my gut health, which has played a huge role in me dropping percentage body fat, me optimizing my energy levels to be able to be more productive at work, which was the biggest problem. I used to be fatigued all the time, and I couldn't really understand why. I used to take a lot of supplements, and then I kind of realized once my gut health has improved that I didn't actually need so many supplements. In fact, I don't take many supplements now at all. I have good food sources. So the sleep, my favorite. Second has to be my gut health and everything that I do to practice that. Third has to be the intermittent fasting. And I think those are definitely my top three. If there was a fourth that I would add, that would be measuring my workouts, my progress. So I do like to track my workout progress, and I use a heart rate monitor for that. And that helps me to keep on track. And I'm quite stubborn with goals, very, very stubborn. Hence why, I take on crazy challenges sometimes, and that to stay on form and stay on track.
I'd like to talk about this endurance ride that you did, as well as the triathlon. Given your schedule and how busy you are and how much you have going on, what did you learn from that? What were the challenges that you had? And maybe even why did you decide that you wanted to bike 1,450 kilometers? And this is not like biking 1,450 kilometers in North America or UK or Europe or something. Like, if you ever have been to India and driven down the road, if you want to develop a relationship with God, probably the best way, because you are going to be praying to some higher power to get through this, let alone going down the highway on a bicycle. I can't imagine that. Like, how did that go on? And explain what that experience was like.
Well, the triathlon, both challenges. I have to thank my business partner, my best friend, Chris Gethin, because he's always been a great support and a mentor for my physical health. Okay. So me and Chris were in India. We were in Mumbai. I was poolside while Chris was training for his triathlon. Actually, he was training for a Man of Iron, Ironman. And as he was swimming, I was talking to him. We were having our meeting. He was swimming. I was walking up and down the pool. He said, "Jag, why don't you jump in the pool and do a couple of laps?" And I'm like, "Chris, I can't really swim." He goes, "Just get in the pool." Jumped in the pool. After the second lap, I couldn't hardly breathe. That was my fitness level. And he said, "Jag, you should do a triathlon." I said, "Chris, I can hardly swim." And he's like, "Jag, you have to make the commitment and then you'll learn." And I'm like, "Yeah, Chris, I'll think about it." The following morning, my phone had beeped, because every time Chris goes live, I get a beep on my phone on his Facebook. I think it was Facebook at the time. So I was kind of looking at his live feed, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm training for my Ironman, and Jag has made a commitment that he's going to do a triathlon." And I'm like, "Oh my God." So he kind of told the whole world. And that was it. There was no turning back. So I had to train despite my busy schedule, and he forced me. He made me do it, and I completed it. And I think the buzz that I got wasn't from completing the triathlon. That was a great feeling, no doubt, because my son was very happy to see that, and I want to inspire my family to live fitter. And you can only inspire by leading by example. You have to be an example of what you want them to follow, right? So I realized after I finished the triathlon that the actual beauty was not in the end result, it was in the struggle. And that's what I missed. I thought, okay, now that I've done it, what do I do tomorrow? Like I wake up and I don't have to train as hard anymore, which can be a negative. If you go back to your old way, you'll lose what you've gained. And I learned a lot from that. But anyway, so, Chris said to me, he goes, Jag, don't put your guard down. Make sure you put your next challenge in your diary. And I didn't until I had a meeting in India. And the idea was that we were going to organize these cycling events for our gyms, for all of our members. And the guys kind of said to me that, we've got this event coming up. It's a cycling event from Delhi to Mumbai. And remember, I'm from London. Cycling in London or the USA is very different, as you rightly say, than cycling in India. They always say that you forget that God exists when you're in countries like the UK or USA because we are protected in every shape, way, or form. But when you're in India, you definitely have a belief in a supreme being because you have a risk of getting run over. You've got a risk of this, you've got a risk of that. And if you want to cycle, you're invisible to everybody. So
100%.
Cars, vans, trucks, you're invisible to them. So anyway, these guys said to me that, look, we've got this event coming up, but this is not really for people like you. This is for hardcore people,
Shot to the belly.
And I'm like sitting there thinking, you picked the wrong guy, buddy. Like that, you should not have said that. Did you say that? Did you just say that? And I said, you know what? Put my name down. That's how I am. I am stubborn about goals. I will take a split second. I do not procrastinate. If something excites me and scares me, I learn, go for it. We'll work out how to deal with it later. Okay. So I made the commitment. I actually paid them there and there to actually be part of this because I know I don't want to have any excuses for me to be able to back out. And the first thing that I did, which I remembered from the commitment that Chris made me do with the triathlon, was I made a social media post so that I know no matter who tries to convince me to get out of this, even if it is my dad or my wife or anyone, I can't come out of this because I've told everyone. And that was it. The rest is history. And, Chris had made a training plan for me. It was very hard because I was doing very long days. I was doing 20-hour days some days there because our brand was growing very fast. And, I had to be in different parts of the country. And some days I would only have like a hotel gym. And that some of these gyms are very basic. So I had to keep training. But what did I learn from this? We often think that our problems are huge. And, we forget that no matter how bad your problems are, there's always somebody out there who is in a worse position than you. There's always somebody out there that would do anything to swap positions with you, no matter how bad things get for you. And while I was cycling, and this is the beauty about cycling, I love cycling and I never have my phone on when I cycle because the whole purpose of cycling is for you to connect with what's around you and observe. That's why I cycle. And when I was cycling, a lot of problems that I face on a daily basis were going through my head and I was getting answers for every single problem during that ride. I cycled through places which were completely remote. People were living in mud huts. There were children carrying like wood on their head to be able to light fires in their house. And I was cycling past multi-billion-dollar like estates and people with, Porsches, Jeeps, all kinds of luxuries. And I cycled through everything. And you got to remember, you feel every bump on the road. You feel everything. That cycle ride continues to teach me the value of life and what we have to appreciate till this very day. It's the best experience that I've ever had, ever.
That's truly remarkable and inspiration. I'm sure people are going to listen to this and say, I need to take up a triathlon, I take up a cycling and stuff. So what challenges are you going after now that you've kind of knocked these things out on the health side? What's kind of inspiring you for your future, both on the fitness side and both as an entrepreneur? Because they've kind of seen you've made this beautiful integration of both of those things. What's getting Jag excited these days, and where do you see this all going?
So I recently done a 5-day fast, which is not a huge challenge for a lot of people. That was something that was exciting for me. I wanted to feel that. But in terms of physical challenges, I am planning a trek when things go back to some sort of normality in India. I'm not sure which one it's going to be, but it will be a pretty gruesome one, that's for sure. And I'm hoping that Chris will join me on that. If he's listening to this podcast, I've just said it, so you can't back out. But in terms of business, I am really excited about expanding into the USA. We are planning to bring our fitness facilities in the United States and Canada. So we have put everything back to the due diligence phase, where we're going to be changing the traditional gym models into something which is a little bit more virtual. So that's one of our future projects. We are also working on a number of different fitness brands, such as clothing, but this will incorporate some sort of wearable technology so that you can track workouts. And really, the biggest focus for us at this moment in time is going to be our magazine. We're very keen to bring on board people who have got educational and great messages that will inspire others, and we welcome them to come on board. This is not something that we're going to be charging people for. If they have a good message and it's genuine, we want people to be able to use our platform to reach more people. And I think, this is something that we spoke about a short while back, is it's all about trying to change as many lives in the process. So, that's kind of our focus at the moment, to expand our reach in as many ways as possible.
Beautifully said. And I think it's one of the most fascinating things is when I think it was Mahatma Gandhi that said, be the change that you want to see in the world. And one of the things that I've found when people get enamored or integrated into the fitness community and see a transformation in their own lives, there becomes this almost automatic expression of that you want everyone else to experience those benefits and the vitality and the ability to take your ideas and thoughts into the world and see them implemented and the carryover effect. And you're a great example of that, as is Chris. And I really respect both of you for what you're doing in the world. And I think it's going to make a big difference. And also what I love, and I think if there's one takeaway from this, is that just do it. Get on a 1450 triathlon. I can't. Doesn't matter where you at today. Make the commitment, make the public declaration, and just do it, and miracles will happen. Jag, what a great thing today. Is there any final words you'd like to say before we close off the podcast today?
I would just like to say thank you very much, Wade. It's been absolutely amazing speaking to you, and I really look forward to catching up with you again real soon. So thank you.
Well, thanks a lot, Jag. That's another awesome health podcast from Bioptimizers. Be sure to check out the links, the magazine, all this sort of stuff. I think this is going to be the next leader empire coming. Listening for Bioptimizers. We'll see you each and every week. We love having you here. And again, go out there, take action, make a public declaration, do what Jag says, you can do it, and challenge yourself. Thanks so much for joining.
At Bioptimizers, our mission is to fix digestion. And a cornerstone of digestion is gut flora. P3OM is our patented probiotic formula. In fact, we call it the Navy SEALs of probiotics. You see, strong proteolytic or protein digesting activity is paramount to having a healthy gut flora. And of course, P3OM provides that. The good news is, unlike weaker probiotics, P3OM survives the digestion process. What it does is it basically multiplies the good guys while protecting you against pathogens, or what some people call the bad guys. P3OM really helps to rebuild your digestion. And what that allows you to do is to maximize nutrient uptake, energy, and metabolism. To find out more of how P3OM can help you, go to www.bioptimizers.com.
Thank you for listening to the Bioptimizers Awesome Health Podcast. You can find more information at bioptimizers.com.